And now, it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, rock cod Rick Maxa, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Yamaha Outboards. Reliability starts here. By Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray and Rock Cod Rick Maxa.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Rock Cod Rick Maxa. We're in the Mighty 1090 studios with Mr. Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle. We're going to be talking about how everybody wants to talk about, and that's fishing tackle. And fishing, because it's happening here this Memorial Day weekend. You stay tuned. This is Southern California's sport fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
The new Shimano Torium HG is here, and you'll be able to experience this fantastic reel now at your local Shimano dealer. The new Torium is up to 30% smaller than the previous generation, but still has the same line capacity. The smaller S compact body design and one-piece die-cast aluminum frame provides more rigidity and lighter weight. Torium now has EI surface treatment and is tested up to 700 times the corrosion resistance of past models. The new Shimano Torium HG is not only better on the outside, the inside is amazing, with a cross-carbon drag providing up to 24 pounds of drag pressure from a Star Drag reel. It has a sealed roller clutch and 6.2 to 1 brass gears. The machined aluminum handle has a larger knob to make it easy to crank in the big fish. The new lightweight aluminum spool gives you better casting and control. Available in 3 sizes, the Torium HG is the next evolution in compact, rigid, and powerful saltwater Star Drag reels. Get it now at your local Shimano dealers.
My Angler H2O. I will never use that fakey fluorescent pink bait or drag my hula popper through the mud. I will outmaneuver drought-exposed stumps, rocks, and submerged station wagons. And outsmart the ravenous river otter. I will save water by taking shorter showers for higher lakes. And I will always, always wear my life jacket.
What's your H2O? Tell us at BoatCalifornia.com. The California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways reminds you to wear it, California.
Discover the reliable Yamaha 4-stroke family. This versatile line of outboards is available in a range of horsepower with exciting new additions like the advanced technology next generation F-115 and F-200. Both the F-115 and the Innovation Award-winning Yamaha F-200 are the lightest double overhead cam 4-strokes in their classes. The original F-150 delivers legendary reliability, and the all-new F-175 creates a convenient new horsepower tier. Compact, lightweight Yamaha 4-strokes, perfect for repower and ready for anything. Find them today at your local Yamaha Marine dealer.
Are you as excited about spring fishing as I am? The water stayed warm all winter, which means it's shaping up to be one of the best seasons ever to get out on the water. It's also shaping up to be one of the best seasons ever to visit your Ford dealer. The all-new F-150s are starting to roll in. With over 100 new patents, it's guaranteed to be a game changer. The new Mustang also has everyone buzzing. You've got to check it out. And the new Fusion, Focus, and Escape are better than ever. Fuel efficient and loaded with technology. There's as much interest in these new Fords as there is in spring fishing. In fact, Ford was the most searched automotive brand on Google last year. And once again, it's America's best-selling brand based on 2014 calendar year sales, which makes Ford the brand more people search, buy, and buy again. There's a lot to be excited about this spring, whether you're after tuna, yellowtail, halibut, or a brand new Ford. So visit your San Diego County Ford dealer today. They'll be glad to hook you up.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090. Going to be a fun show today, man.
Yes, it is. Mr. Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle.
Good morning.
What up, Doug?
How's everything going?
Everything's going. Great Memorial Day weekend because the fish are biting.
I know.
Yes, they are.
How about Dorado in May?
What?
And
Oh,
Opa.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Dorado, Opa, Yellowfin, just another May Memorial Day in San Diego.
Really? That's fantastic.
May 23rd, there was yellowfin. I'm sure bluefin in U.S. waters.
I'm
Haven't
sure.
heard, but I'm
Absolutely.
sure. There was yellowfin, bluefin, Dorado, Opa. It's on.
Yellowtail. I know.
Yellowtail on kelps.
Yeah, yellowtail
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Beach,
Dave Hansen sent me
islands.
a text with the yellows on kelps from yesterday.
Yeah,
morning.
that stuff's kind of been there.
Kind of up above,
Yep,
too.
yep.
Yeah.
It's May.
Yeah.
I know.
It's May. And like you said it best, it's going to be May next weekend, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's May.
It's still
Like,
May, yeah.
We knew there was a little yellowfin around. When I saw Opa and Dorado, I'm like, okay, this is going to be another one of those years.
Are we now convinced that it really is going to be an El Nino year?
Call it what you want.
Right.
It's sure shaping up to be another awesome year.
Yeah.
And just, I think we're going to get surprises. We don't know what it's going to hold. That's why it's so much fun. But it's not going to be that, 5 years of living in Oregon like we did, a few years back. That's gone. That's in the rear view mirror.
and the cool thing is the stuff is already close.
It is.
Yeah,
Right?
you're right.
I mean, there's yellowtail just right off the point. And
Right off Point Loma, I saw a half-day boat yesterday had yellows.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that yellow fin it's not that far either. I mean, I think the guys are fishing 80 miles, 90 miles. I mean, it's within realm. It's the end of it, but it's in range of just an overnight trip.
Yep.
Yeah. How about the big yellows off of Horseshoe and
Awesome.
Huntington? And
Right?
Yeah.
all those areas. Kelp patty fish just right off of Dana.
I remember it was funny when Benny was in here yesterday, Kevin Penny Florentino, like his buddy was texting him pictures while he was on the show. This is going on right now, right out in front of Long Beach, pictures of yellows on the deck biting the surface iron.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and the weather's supposed to start cooperating this week.
Yes,
which
it is.
Good news,
Yep.
finally. It's
We're not
been a
gonna-
little breezy.
We're not going to continue our month of 15 knots
Yeah.
every afternoon.
But it's kind of typical spring weather. I mean, we finally got some spring weather.
true.
'cause
But
we
when
had
have you
summer all
seen
winter,
our
right?
typical spring weather where it blows 10 to 15 every day for a month, and yet the fish keep biting right through it?
How true is that?
The
Yeah.
water didn't roll, the fish kept biting, there's bait, there's condition, there's fish. I mean, it's really something to see.
Well, the water may have rolled, but the water's warm down below, maybe. So maybe it keeps
but
rolling up warmer water.
You didn't get that green, ugly, 2 weeks of waiting for it to bounce back, and then it blows again and kills it again. So.
And everybody says the current's coming this way, right?
Yeah.
Coming north. So
I know
bringing
this.
up warmer water.
I like it.
This year, Booger had limits of yellowtail one day in the rain, and it was like 15 knots of wind and rain, and they had limits of yellows.
Yep.
How crazy
It's
is
awesome.
that?
It's just awesome.
It's great. But people need fishing tackle to catch these fish.
Well,
So
I don't think there's been any problem with that. I think they're acquiring some fishing tackle.
Yeah, business has been brisk at Fisherman's Landing.
It has been. I mean, the people that are kind of avid fishermen for their life, some of them kind of took a vacation there when the conditions got crappy and the economy got crappy, and now they're all back. So, we can see a lot of guys coming in with their Penn Senators and their Jig Masters asking what this new Spectra stuff is, so you can tell they haven't been fishing in a while. And then, the avid fishermen last year took all their buddies out. Hey, you got to try this. It's really fun. Well, you got a bunch of new people in the sport, and they have to get their first new rod and reel and figure out what a flat fall jig is and a yo-yo jig and, what's fluorocarbon. And so they're all, building their arsenal. And it's fun to see. It's just really active and energetic and exciting.
Yes, and indeed. So what's the latest? What's the latest and greatest? Let's say we're going yellowtail fishing aboard one of the 3/4-day boats in Southern California. What are we going to use?
Yeah, I mean, the latest and greatest is what we've been using in part for 50 years. It's great surface iron fishing and sotatis and salis, and then you've got yo-yo jig fishing that we had all winter long. You can still catch a yellowtail that way. You can slow troll a mackerel from your private boat. You can cast a sardine from the sport boat. So it's fairly standard issue. As far as your hook selection goes, yellowtail are not all that shy. You can go a little bigger hook, maybe a 3.0 or a 4.0, and with the mackerel, a 5.0 to 7.0 size hook.
Why is bigger better when it comes to hook size?
Bigger is always better once you have the fish hooked up because you take a bigger bite and you're not as likely to unbutton a fish. It's just that simple. Or straighten a thinner wire hook. So, but you've got to have that balance between having a big hook to land the fish and a small hook to get a bite. But the yellowtail tend to be a little bit more aggressive. If they're going to bite, usually they're going to bite a little heavier line. So it's not a finesse fish. A lot of times we talk about bluefin being a finesse fish. You got to go small hooks, lighter line, that type of thing. The yellowtail, you can get a little bit more aggressive, and you need to because you have danger. You're fishing bad neighborhoods.
Yeah,
always.
There's these brown things that run around with
you've
dog
got
teeth in
sea
it.
lions. You have rocks. You have kelp. You have other anglers on the boat, that you're getting tangled with occasionally. And so if you can get away with a bigger hook and heavier line, you're always better off. And yes, some people say, oh, it's fun. I love to light line them, and that's great if you're in a private boat and there's, you're in the mud.
Way offshore.
There's no rocks, there's no kelp, very few sea lions. Yeah, get your 15 or 20 out and play if you want to, but when it's nasty neighborhoods, you got to go with the 30 and 40.
Especially
and 50.
For yellowtail, because they know how to get to the structure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When a yellowtail has its head pointed at structure of some kind, there is not gear that's made that'll stop those things. You know what I mean? When you're fishing a dropper loop on a long-range trip, how many times have you seen a guy fishing with 100-pound and a 50 wide and just get rocked? And that's a 30-pound fish that's doing that. No problem. When their head is pointed at that hole, there isn't gear that's made that stops them from swimming into it.
No doubt about it. Okay, let's go back up to hooks. J-hook or the circle hook?
You can go either way and be successful. My general rule for myself, for some reason, has evolved over the years of just fishing, and this is what I'm comfortable with. I like a J-hook for the yellows at the islands, around the coast. Pretty much the same thing for white sea bass. But when it comes to the tuna, a lot of times I'll go with the circle hook, especially when there's some bigger models around, because you want to hook that fish in the corner of the mouth. And I just think you get a little better reliability on landing the tuna with the circle hook. But, it's common knowledge now, but I'll say it again. When you're fishing a circle hook, you cannot set the hook because the hook has to go slowly to find the corner of the mouth. So the fish eats the bait. It starts running. When you feel that it's got the hook in the mouth, you push your lever forward. The reel goes into gear, and you start turning the handle. Kind of a medium slow, but taking up that slack. And you don't do anything but that until line starts stripping off the reel. Then you're hooked up. Now you can lift the rod tip up and fight that fish. I do the same exact thing with J-hooks. And surprisingly, I hook most of those fish in the corner of the mouth. And like I say, for yellowtail, I'd say 100% of the time I'm using a J-hook. And a lot of times it's right in the corner of the mouth. Even with tuna, you're using a J-hook. You don't need to swing for the seats. The only time maybe I'll swing for the seats is when you're using a mackerel or a bigger bait. Then you've kind of got to get that hook out of the bait, and plus it's fun.
Yeah.
But, the old swinging for the seats thing, I don't do that like I used to.
Yeah, just put it in gear and start whining.
Yes.
Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Turn the handle.
Because sometimes you kind of forget, you get out of sync. It's like, do I have a J-hook or
right.
Right?
Yeah. Well, us tackle gurus always know what hook is tied.
You always know.
I mean,
but of course.
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
By model number and size.
By model number and size.
And we know which batch it came into the store in.
Oh, okay. Perfect. There you go. So tackle-wise, 30-pound, 25-pound, 20-pound, you said as heavy as possible, but still want to get a bait. What's Doug Kern going to grab out of the rail? He's fishing on the San Diego with Captain Ryan Bastian, and they're biting. What are you going to grab?
It's going to be a surface iron on 40-pound, 99.9% of the time, if those conditions are present. If not, a lot of times it's going to be a yo-yo jig. If you're going to go with the bait, I would say never start with anything less than 30. There's no need to until you witness that it's absolutely a finicky bite, which is pretty rare the last 16, 18 months. I would say you want to grab 40 and fish your 40. You know, like we said, getting away from all the bad stuff that can happen out there until you prove to yourself that it's just not going to work. You start grabbing 20 and even 25. Yes, you might get a bite, but you're just probably not going to land that fish just the way things are. And, I've fished the islands back in the Chovy days where we had to fish 20-pound, and you lost a lot of them, but you got some. But there's no need to now with sardines and mackerel.
Yeah.
Good call.
So what's the buzz at Fisherman's Landing Tackle as far as tackle go? What's really coming off the shelves tackle-wise?
It's a little bit of everything. I'll tell you what was our worst category during the recession, during the poor fishing, was rods. Nobody would spend money on a rod because, the rods, the way they're built, last pretty well. And so guys even had their old Sabres and their CalStars, and, they would fish those. And if they had a little money to spend, it was always on the reels because the reels have had more progress over the last 10 years than the rods have. But with that said, those rods got mighty old. And so the last 2 years, our number one category, without a doubt, has been rods.
Really?
People are upgrading the rods. And, you're seeing, these 7.5 and 8 foot rods. A lot of guys always thought 7 foot was standard issue and the whole leverage thing from back in the day before you had 2 speeds. But a little longer rod provides you with some advantages. A little shock absorber against your non-stretching spectra and fluorocarbon lines. So you need something to take up that shock. Well, a little longer tip does that for you. Also, you get much better castability with the longer rods. So 8-foot rods have almost become the standard where 7-foot used to be. So a lot of guys are figuring that out and replacing them. And, surface iron fishing with these yellowtail, we've done it for all of our lives, but a lot of people, if you go out on the San Diego or one of the other 3/4 day boats and they're catching 5, 10 yellows, only the top of the elite were catching them on the surface iron, so a lot of guys fish their bait. Well, now the fish are more abundant, more aggressive, and, a lot of people are able to catch those fish on the surface iron, and you start figuring out your 7-foot rod doesn't throw it quite as far as that deckhand with his 10-foot rod,
Yeah.
So people are buying longer rods. So rods are definitely a big thing. Fluorocarbon, used to seem kind of like a new thing, and how do I make my connection? Now that's a standard issue thing. You've just got to have your 20, 25, 30, 40, and 50 in the arsenal, in your tackle box at all times. Hooks have exploded into so many varieties: ringed hooks, circle hooks, right, Gucci hooks, regular old mustad hooks. I mean, the shapes are different in all these, Aki twist and various type things like that. So you've got a lot to choose from, and it's kind of confusing to people, but, having a good assortment of hooks on the boat is always a good thing. So if you want to drop down in size, if, you want to go with, a different shape, you want to go with rings. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the baits are fragile. You go with a thin wire hook. If you can get away with a little bigger bait, maybe go with a thicker wire hook. So that's a great point on that. And then, jigs, that's, guys come in the shop every day. Give me every jig on that peg. I want to see which one swims. And they spin them around and look at the edges and, try to figure out which one's going to swim. And that's just like a San Diego cult thing.
That's a daily occurrence in the shop.
Yeah.
So, I want to see every blue and white Teddy 45 you have.
And they don't think that somebody else has already done that?
Well, that's the part of it, though. I mean, that's just when it's your time to go buy a jig, you're going to try and find the best one that's there at that time.
But it's best for one is different for the other.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to venture to say there are always good jigs on the rack, and the way that I've seen that occur over decades is we'll all go through the jig wall and try and pick out the jig we think is the best jig. And I'm going to venture to say Danny Wade probably is the best jig picker out there. He'll come into the shop and he'll walk behind the counter and spend 10, 15 minutes and go, you might want to buy that one right there. He found a good one, And I do every time. Are you kidding?
I've been there too.
Yeah.
And then you throw it and you catch a fish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
And,
but it's kind of an art, right?
It's definitely an art. When the fish are wide open and very aggressive, you can throw any jig that swims okay is going to catch a fish. In those very finicky times where you've got to have the 10-foot rod to get to the boil, and you've got to have the jig that swims to get the bite. That's where, if you're really going to be a serious surface iron fisherman, you've got to swim your jigs before you ever fish with it, and pick that one that kind of looks like a butterfly dancing and has the very unpredictable action, not just a very steady thump side to side, but something that changes direction on a dime when you don't expect it.
Yes.
And when you find that jig, you covet it. You don't fish it when you're fishing barracuda. You don't fish it when there's
sea lions
too
around.
many sea lions and too much kelp. If you can get away with it, that's the jig you fish when the fishing's a little tough, and you're probably not going to lose it.
Yeah. We fished the islands earlier in the week, and there was yellowtail that were kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, just down below the islands, above the pile, below the islands, kind of no man's land on bird schools, and you'd look around and see everybody's got their favorite or best surface iron tied on. And then later in the day, we drove up to North Island, kind of in the middle grounds area, and nobody said anything to the other or warning, but it was funny, like, as we were getting closer, you watched every guy on the skiff, like, cut their jig off, which was their best chance to catch a fish. Everybody cut their A lure off and put a B, because you just know you're going into sea lion country, and you don't want to take a chance at losing gold to a sea lion or to a rock or something. But it's just funny watching, like, nobody said anything to the other person, but everybody knew, like, oh, we're going to sea lion country. I better take this thing off of here.
Off and
I want to take exactly.
Yeah, there's a place for those B jigs in your tackle box.
Absolutely.
you're going to carry a variety, and, you can't always find an A-plus jig, so, you carry 10, 15 jigs, when you go on your 3/4 day trip. But, so if, and if you see, yes, the action is the most important thing, but if you see every fish coming in on mint green, I don't know if it's psychological or if it's really happening, but, tie on the mint green. If you want to watch the guys that are catching fish too. It may be as something as simple as, oh, it's a slow retrieve today. You got to pay attention. It's not just, don't just throw out there and wind it in. Wind with a purpose. Try different retrieves. Even, on rare occasions, let your surface iron sink out to a 45-degree angle. Some days that works well. You just got to figure out what the fish want and then give it to them.
So what if a person like myself doesn't really know what angle of jig cut on the surface iron and what a really good surface iron looks like? Your guys at Fisherman's Landing Tackle pick the right one out?
We will definitely help people look through the jigs and find one that we think, I'll buy 5 jigs that I think are going to work, and maybe one of them is a B+ or an A-. It's rare to find an A or an A+.
Yeah.
But you just got to go through a lot of jigs, and that's just part of the deal. But the main thing is, on some of these jigs, they do some grinding and so forth. Now, the newer tatties, they are injection molded, so they're all the same. And actually, they swim fairly well. But it does make it harder to find an A+ because they are so consistent, but at least they swim. But if those jigs have an imperfection on the front leading edges where the edges have gotten rounded or ground off too much, those are the ones probably that aren't going to swim as well. You can imagine if you've got a nice sharp edge on those front leading edges, it's going to dig into the water and change direction more so than something that has kind of a rounded or ground off edge. So that's one real important thing to look for. A lot of guys will change hooks on jigs. Well, you've got to use a 3/0 on a surface iron of that size. And if a guy puts a 4/0 on there, it creates weight and drag, and it'll kill the action. So you've got to be careful there, too, modifying your jigs to get the right size hook on there.
Some guys say they like to put a stinger hook on the front ring. That's going to totally change the action of the jig?
I don't know if it'll totally change it, but I've never seen it done, and I don't think that it's really necessary. Yellowtail seems to always have the hook down the throat, so they hit it from the side or the stern of the jig. So I don't think that would be an advantage, and it could well be a disadvantage. The other thing, sometimes you'll see paint in the hole where the leading ring is. That can impede your action, so you might want to dig the paint out of there so that the hole is free of that, so that jig can swing on that ring freely.
Good advice. Well, as you can hear, we have a great show lined up for you today. A lot to talk about today.
Well, you're not kidding. Talk about having the ultimate tackle guru in the building today. We're going to have all kinds of fun, talking all kinds of fishing, and man, do we got a lot to talk about. It was biting out there yesterday. Lots of Let's Talk Hookup coming your way, and if you want to be a part of it, we would love to hear from you. Going to be some great info going on today, and if you want to be a part of the show, there's 2 ways you can reach us here at Let's Talk Hookup. First is with our local line, which is 858 area code 457-1090. Again, 858-457-1090, or you can try our toll-free number. That one's 877-792-1090. One more time, 877-792-1090. Not only are we going to be talking all that great fishing, talking Fisherman's Landing Tackle, we've also got some great prizes for one lucky caller at the end of the show today. Somebody's going to get to go fishing and get some new fishing tackle. And thanks to Doug, somebody's going to get a $50 gift card to Fisherman's Landing Tackle Shop. And then while you're out buying your tackle, you're going to get to go fishing because you're also going to get a half-day trip to go fishing aboard the Dolphin. So half-day fishing on the Dolphin and some brand-new tackle. That's going to one lucky caller at the end of the show today. So a very cool prize. And thanks to Doug and the Dolphin for that. Again, 858-457-1090, 877-792-1090. When we come back, we're going to be taking those phone calls. Lots of great information coming your way. You stay tuned. You're listening to Southern California's sport fishing voice. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the mighty 1090.
If you've heard the advice Scott Sherman from Fifth Avenue Insurance has given anglers over the past couple of years, you know there is much more to your boat insurance than just a low rate. Well, Fifth Avenue Insurance can not only find you the lowest rates on your boat insurance, they also make sure the coverage you get meets all your needs. What if you had an accident with the boat and found out you didn't have proper coverage? Well, that just won't happen when you insure with Fifth Avenue Insurance. Call them for advice on your current boat policy or any of your insurance needs. Fifth Avenue Insurance, 619-640-3130, or check the number 5 THAVEINS.com.
Mark your calendar for the big event. The Longfin in Orange, Southern California's premier fishing superstore, is having a Shimano Day, Saturday, June 13th. The Longfin will have Shimano, Power Pro, and G. Loomis factory representatives on hand to show you the latest rods and reels from Shimano One, the latest rods from G. Loomis, and all the new line from Power Pro. Power Pro experts will be on hand as well to teach you the best connections and talk about how to use Power Pro to improve your fishing. Inside the Longfin, there's a Shimano store within the store, and there will be special offers available from Shimano, G. Loomis, and Power Pro for this one day only. The day starts off with Pete and Rick doing the Let's Talk Hookup radio show live from the entrance of the Longfin at 7. Plus, you can win great stuff in a big raffle with lots of giveaways. Shimano Day is Saturday, June 13th, starting at 7 at the Longfin, 2730 East Chapman, just off the 55 freeway in Orange. For directions or more information, check out the website at longfin.com.
Your hook is one of the most important parts of your fishing tackle, and that is why you should use the hook that sets the standard for quality and innovation. Gamakatsu. As Japan's leading hook manufacturer and growing at an amazing pace, Gamakatsu is responsible for introducing a unique tempering process to give Gamakatsu hooks superior strength and durability. Plus, the conically needle-honed points stay sharp. Gamakatsu offers a hook for every fishing situation, including the finest one-piece ringed hooks, light wire, standard and heavy-duty live bait hooks, and the popular Nautilus circle hooks. Get Gamakatsu hooks at your favorite tackle store and stay connected to that fish of a lifetime.
For East Cape fishing, Jen Wren is known as the best. This is Mark Rayer. Great service, top quality equipment, including all accurate reels, CalStar rods, and Cimarron electronics, has put my immaculately maintained twin-engine cruisers in a class of their own. For memories of a lifetime, just bring your hat and sunglasses, and we'll provide a fishing experience that will exceed your expectations. Our calendar's filling fast, so don't miss out. For packages, 2 live webcams, a weekly fishery report, and more, check out TeamJenWren.com. We pick up at all East Cape resorts, so let's go fishing.
For Rancho Leonero, here's John Ireland.
We're kind of unique for the fact I think we're really the last of the old Baja fishing style hotels. It's 1,000 acres altogether, and the hotel's small. It's only a 34-room hotel. We don't aspire to be bigger. We just aspire to be better. We've been working on the ranch continually. You know, I did a $500,000 renovation, upgrading the hotel, the bar. We put in new split air conditioning in rooms 1 through 5. They're like an icebox inside. Did a complete new gymnasium. We've been adding boats and upgrading our boat fleet. We're constantly working on the grounds. And having my daughter down there, she's a gardener, so the grounds and everything is much better. From maintaining the rooms, putting in mirrors, putting in beds. I replaced every bed in the hotel. They're awesome beds. We have the best beds in all of Baja, not just the East Cape. People love the beds. You know, the bedding and the higher quality towels. Just trying to do it a little bit better. It's a special place. Come down and relax. RanchoLeonero.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
All right, let's find out what's going on down in the East Cape. Get that Rancho Leonero report. But wait, there's a guy named Bart Hall on the line filling in.
That's not John Ireland.
Filling in for John Ireland. What's up, Bart?
Well, hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Loud.
We can hear you.
Okay. Well, I had the advantage of being down there this week, and I was down there while Jack Nilsson was down there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Jack behaved himself. I'm giving Jack props. He was working hard, taking pictures, catching lots of fish. But he fished offshore every day, and, you know, we like to fish inshore. So we really covered the spectrum. So I guess that's why I'm chosen to give the report this week.
Perfect. On-the-spot report.
The first day, Dave Mondaji and Rick Gassers and I went out. We were going to try to find the elephant tuna because we'd heard reports that they'd been caught the day before. And we went out about 20 miles, and we did not find the tuna. But our other boat went, and they caught African pompano and amberjacks and skipjack and loaded the boat, got triggerfish for ceviche, And that day, Jack caught 4 marlin out go fishing with Jen Wren, and one of them was about 200 pounds. And I think Jack caught at least 2 marlin every day that we were there, maybe 3 some days. And so the marlin fishing was great. And then the second day, we went out on John's new boat, and all 6 of us together. Now we're Ponga guys, so we were kind of like, well, thank you very much, but we weren't sure how this was all going to work. But we got out there and we started jigging flat falls and mega baits. We got 10 40 to 60 pound amberjack, which kicked our butt.
Whoa! No way.
We got a yellowtail, Rick, that we didn't weigh it, but I'm sure it was close to the size of yours. It was at least 40 pounds.
That's awesome.
We got dozens of skipjack, African pompano. We caught white bonita, which I thought were a myth until I finally saw them. And then the guy goes, "Oh, sashimi." So of course we had that for sashimi.
The white bonita, yeah. Oh yeah.
We got pargo up to 20 pounds. Like I said, the giant triggers, but more interesting than not, to show you how many marlin are around, over the next 2 days while we're jigging around down there catching all these fish, we hooked 3 marlins on mega baits.
Oh, no way. No way. How cool.
I was the first one, and my line just starts going to the surface, and this marlin jumps out. I go, what the heck is that? It's a mega bait.
That's so rad. That's so rad.
That's awesome.
And the second day, 2 other boats went out farther than we did. They went out 26 miles, and they did get into the yellowfin. They were in the 30 to 40 pound class, and they hooked a dozen, but they landed 9.
Nice.
So they brought back
nice
a lot of
tuna.
yellowfin tuna. On the third day, I went out and played golf with Gary Barnes-Webb and Ginny, and we had a great time and came back, and sitting at our table was more fish to eat.
Now, that sounds fantastic. Where'd you play?
Palmia.
Very nice.
But
And what'd you shoot,
really
Bart?
come alive down there, Pete. I mean, everybody was complaining, I guess, earlier in the year, but you could see it. You can see bait. You can see dolphin. You see life jumping. You know, like I said, 3 marlin hooked on mega baits. I mean, they're everywhere. They're a nuisance. You know?
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, like vermin, like John used to say about Dorado, right? Well, it sounds like a perfect timing for our Rancho Leonero Let's Talk Hookup tournament there, June the 6th, coming up here in a couple of weeks. And I know we're sold out, and I know the people are getting very excited after hearing your report. So thanks, Bart. I'm glad you had a good time, and it's a wonderful place, Rancho Leonero.
Bring the flatfall jig, too.
Okay.
Good call on that.
Flatfall jig, Colt snipers, there you go. Bring them.
If you can find one.
Yeah.
You know somebody?
I might know somebody.
Maybe. You got them at Fisherman's Landing Tackle?
We do. For
now?
We've got a pretty fat drawer full of them. We're just hoping some more are going to come because they're dissipating quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Bart, I'm glad you had a great time. And again, if somebody wants to book a trip down to Rancho Leonero, rancholeonero.com. You see nice guys and good fishermen like Bart down there once in a while, right?
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess we lost Bart. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate that very much. Let's go ahead and jump into the phones.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's jump into the phones, and why don't we go out to a guy with the best name that calls in here? That's right. We're talking to Doug in Montebello.
What's up, Doug?
Hi, Doug. Got a good name there, Doug.
Hey, well, thank you.
What's up, Doug?
I'm wondering between the e-glass rods and graphite glass rods, which one's the better one now?
You know, there is no better. It's nice that we have both to select from because they both have their benefits. So an e-glass rod is kind of the original rods that started with Sabre back in the day and progressed through CalStar. And, there are quite a few rods built with e-glass. And e-glass is a little bit looser weave fiberglass, so you have to use a little more material to get the strength that you want. So it ends up being a fairly thick-walled blank, and they're a little heavier, but they have the characteristic of being slightly spongier, I guess would be the word. When it bends, they're a little kind of softer feel. And that can be an advantage for not throwing a bait off. A lot of the marlin guys, when they're casting, they want to be able to really whip a mackerel out there and get it as far as they can. And when they use a graphite-style rod, they feel they fling a bait off more easily. So it can be an advantage for that. It can also be an advantage when you're using straight spectra and fluorocarbon for some people, especially like on a lighter rod, you might do that just to get a spongier feel. Also, it's a little less expensive, so it means you can buy a high-quality rod at a lower price. Now, when you start getting into the graphite composites, you'll get anywhere from 30 to 70% graphite mixed with a little bit of the fiberglass. And so you get some of the characteristics of the fiberglass, which is durability, and then what the advantages of the graphite are, it creates a little bit more stiffer, more quickly reacting rod. So when you kind of short stroke a fish, the rod recovers much more quickly and keeps the pressure on the fish. Also, they're lighter in weight, but you do pay a little bit more money for them.
So that's the thing. There's scenarios where both would be right. Neither of them are wrong. They're both just different.
Yes, and but let's face it. If money was not an object, in most situations, you probably prefer the graphite composite rod because they do fight a fish a little better. They're lighter weight. You can make a little skinnier blank out of it. Just a little bit easier to use.
Better lifting power.
So most of the time, that graphite composite is a great way to go.
There you go. Doug, thanks a lot for the call this morning. And onward with that, you talked about rods are the hot item now at Fisherman's Landing Tackle. Rods have changed a lot. There seems to be a tendency toward lighter weight, different design. Is that right?
Yeah, but every pendulum that swings can go too far, and some of these rods are getting so skinny and so light that it doesn't make sense, because you're going to put that pickup truck or that rod in the back of your pickup truck. You're going to put it on a boat where it's going to get banged around. And you've got to have some durability in the wall of that rod. And when you go to a super ultra skinny blank, yes, in a perfect scenario in the factory, they can pull X amount of pounds off the floor, 50 pounds or whatever it is, with that blank, and it won't break. But you've got to have some durability built in. We're saltwater fishermen, and we go for it.
I'm horrific on my fishing tackle.
Oh, yeah,
horrific on it.
Yes.
Yeah, and you gotta there's a fine line between something that's going to last and something that's going to. What about power? I mean, some of the thinner wall might have the power that something.
They do, but they're also sometimes very stiff, and they create a lot of pressure on the angler. Other skinny rods, the actions bend all the way down into the handle, and it's hard to get the lifting power. So there's got to be a balance for our kind of fishing, where that rod is fast enough taper that it locks up so that you can actually lift the fish under pressure, but that it doesn't lock up so soon that it just kills the angler. Your ideal scenario is to have the angler hurting less and the fish hurting more. That's what you're going for.
That's the idea.
And some of the reels we have today have so much more direct cranking power that it's not lift and wind like it used to be. It's turn the handle, and then when that rod does its work and relaxes, turn the handle. And so you just watch the tip, and you pop off a crank whenever that tip relaxes even a little bit, and that tip climbs right back down the line. That's another reason for the longer rods, because you can take a little more line. When we used to use 5.5-foot rods for tuna, and you had to, because you had to be able to lift the rod up and then drop it real quick and take a crank. Well, now you've got these powerful reels. You can put it in low gear, and so the longer rods became an advantage. It's all been a long evolution to get where we are. And
so it's more the powerful reels that have helped make the rods a little longer.
Well, that's part of it, and the spectral lines, because there's no stretch. And, it's all sort of evolved together to where we are today. And a little bit longer rods, very powerful rods being made now, but not so crazy that it kills the angler, or not so thin that you can't pull the fish. I mean, the rod can't bottom out on 40 or 50-pound line. You've got to have it, lock up so that it can lift the fish.
You said something at the beginning of the show, which I, working at the shop, have been fortunate enough to get to see, that there was a gap for, several years of tougher fishing, and guys that were into it for years, but then kind of just got out of it when things got slow, and then this last year got back into it, and there was all this good yellowfin fishing that was close. There was the big bluefin that was around, 40 and 50 pounders, and it's been amazing to see if your heavier outfit was a 4.0 and a 670, or a 4.0 and a 64 or 60, an older, very appropriate, and an outfit that's caught hundreds and thousands of fish and would still certainly work, but then you switched to a Talica 12 and a Graphiter 700 heavy. Like, it's amazing how much physically easier it is on the angler with the most advanced gear. I mean, the same fish, the same line, but just so much physically easier on the person to deal with it. It's crazy what the advancement in tackle has done to fishing for us.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to hang on to a fish sometimes for an hour and just get killed, and now you can land that same fish in maybe 15 or 20 or 25 minutes, you know.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. The technology is
Yep.
really there. How much credibility should you put into a rod? Well, the rod rating is 20 to 50. How much do you put into that?
Zero.
Okay.
It's gotten really complicated because now people are using spectra, so they'll tell us, I want to buy a rod for 65-pound test. Okay, well, what are you actually going to fish? 65-pound test. No, what is your top shot going to be? What's the weakest link in your chain? Well, I'm probably going to put 40-pound. You are fishing 40-pound. So now you look at 10 different rods rated 20 to 50 or 30 to 60. They're all completely different. You have to know the characteristics of the rod, or in a lot of cases, that's why they come in the shop. You need to know somebody that knows those characteristics. And most people have a psychological tendency, if the rod says 20 to 50, they think it's a 50-pound rod. They don't even realize that, you know, it's really more like a 25 or maybe a 30-pound rod. Yeah. Some rods have the capability to fish 3 different line tests, 30, 40, and 50. Some really are only good for about 1 or 2, depending on how they bend and the length. So you've really got to kind of know what that rod will do and how it pertains to your specific application.
There's not like a standard in the rod building industry where everything is rated, and it's just per the manufacturer to kind of slap whatever sticker they feel. You know, obviously it's a guide, but that's someone else's opinion that might not do the type of fishing that we do out here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I mean, to the greatest variance on that, we have rods rated 60 to 200 that are lighter duty than some rods we have rated 30 to 60.
Right. Yeah, indeed. All right. Let's jump back into the phones. They're packed up. They want to talk to you.
You got it, man. How about we jump back, and this time we talk to Don, who's calling us from Woodland Hills this morning. Good morning, Don. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hi, Don.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great information this morning. Thank you so much. Doug, my question for you is, can you talk a little bit about the history of Fisherman's Landing and specifically Fisherman's Landing tackle? You folks have been around for a long, long time, and I don't think people know all the changes that have happened over the years.
God, I'd love to, and I'm going to have to give you the abbreviated version because I could talk an hour on this subject. Bill Poole and Bruce Barnes formed Fisherman's Landing Corporation in 1965. They were 50-50 partners. And they had several boats and were pioneering at that time into longer and longer trips. And believe it or not, what is now the Prowler took trips to Guadalupe Island. Those were some of the very first long-range trips back in the 60s. And as they progressed through, the boats became, a little bigger and a little bit more comfortable. And Bill just didn't like what was on the market or available for boats, so he started the Poole Boat Company down in the South Bay, and he built most of the boats that are in the long-range fleet today. And his methods and boats became the standard of the industry. The Coast Guard even got together with Bill to adopt some of his safety practices that were so far advanced that even the Coast Guard hadn't implemented them yet. And then a little later on in the game, of course, Frank Lopresti, from the time he was a very young man, and he even as a teenager worked the boats, and he came up through the ranks, and Bill kind of helped give him a shot, and he ended up with the Searcher, which was what we used to know as the Conquest, and moved up until finally he was able to buy the Royal Polaris from Bill, and so he became a partner in the Landing. And at some point, I don't know when, Bruce kind of faded into the sunset, and for a time there was Don Sansom became a partner of Fisherman's Landing, and he owned the Qualifier 105. And actually Don went back to Louisiana to build the XL, and he ran into a little bit of difficulties, and so Bill ended up with the XL. And, of course, that was Bill's boat for forever. And then as we got into the 80s, that's kind of where I came into the picture. 1986, they hired me as a manager of the tackle store. And it was just I knew it was just sort of my calling. And so I kind of begged those guys for some ownership. And so in 92, we formed Fisherman's Tackle Corporation, which is Fisherman's Landing Tackle. I guess they wanted me as a partner in the tackle store, but not in the landing. So anyway, got my 10% and kind of built it up from there over the years. And then, as you probably are alluding to, there were some major changes that took place here just this last year or two. Ingrid Poole was nice enough to sell the remainder of her shares in the tackle store to myself and to Frank. And Paul Morris was a shareholder as well, who was the general manager all those years, 40 years of Fisherman's Landing. He was a staple.
From day one at Fisherman's Landing.
Yes, staple reason that Fisherman's Landing's been such a success.
Oh, yeah.
And
Miss Paul.
And he was nice enough to sell his shares to Rick. So Rick became an owner this year of Fisherman's Landing Tackle, and I mean, goosebumps.
So it's two different corporations, Fisherman's Landing Tackle.
Yeah, we're all
and
the same.
Fisherman's Landing.
Same family.
It was a paperwork.
Same family.
Yeah, it was a paperwork thing back in the day, so I could get a little ownership in the tackle store.
But you've got ownership now in the landing also.
Yes, and so Ingrid finally retired from Fisherman's Landing this last year, and so Tim Ekstrom and I purchased her shares in the Fisherman's Landing, and so
there you go.
That's the current state.
Kind of the current state, and who knows what's next. Hey, thanks a lot for the call this morning.
Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More of your phone calls. We're going to check in with the catch report, find out what's biting up and down the beach. You stay tuned. It's Let's Talk Hookup with Doug Kern of Fisherman's Landing Tackle right here on the mighty 1090. Everyone likes special treatment, you know, kind of feel like a VIP. Well, that's how our listeners are treated at Poway Valley Collision. I have personally heard of several stories of how well our friends Jim and Mary take care of their customers that we sent them. Poway Valley Collision is worth the drive from anywhere in the Southland. We know you may not need them today, but when accidents happen, it pays to go to Poway Valley Collision. And listen to this. Our listeners get a special discount that can save you hundreds of dollars on your car or truck repair. Just tell them you listen to the show and you get the deal. They work with most insurance companies, including Auto Club, MetLife, Wawanesa, and more. Just bring your car or truck to them and let Poway Valley Collision do the rest. I have had my truck repaired at Poway Valley Collision, and the job was perfect. So get your vehicle fixed right at Poway Valley Collision. Tell them you listen to Let's Talk Hookup, and they'll save you money on your repair. Poway Valley Collision, 14211 Garden Road in Poway. Check PowayValleyCollision.com.
Good morning, it's Whitney from Mammoth Lakes, California. Come on up, the water's fine, is what the Eastern Sierra is touting. And in Mammoth Lakes, it's much more than just the water. This summer, our 4 lakes will be stocked with almost 16,000 pounds of healthy fighting trout. From fishing and biking to hiking and horseback riding, there's a legendary story waiting for adventurers of all ages in Mammoth Lakes. Start planning your next adventure at visitmammoth.com. That's visitmammoth.com.
Angler Management Sport Fishing is proud to announce the latest addition to their fishing fleet. The 50-foot Bluefin will operate 12 pack trips this summer from Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. Angler Management Sport Fishing and Captain Bob Aronson have developed the ultimate charter operation. Now, 3 fine boats, a 35-foot Cabo Yacht Sport Fisher for up to 6 anglers, a 26-foot Scout for up to 4 anglers, and now the Bluefin for up to 12 anglers. Check out amsportfishing.com and book your own charter today.
Time for Power Pro 60-second seminar. Like we say, on your next fishing trip, you got to get the Power Pro Advantage. I got to tell you, I keep going back to regular Red Power Pro. Man, I love that stuff.
We get so excited talking about how great Hollow Ace is and Super 8 Slick and Depth Hunter and all the great Power Pros that are out there, and they are great, but I'm the same. I fish more standard 65-pound Power Pro than any other Spectra line I have, and, you know, surface iron fishing, kelp cutter rigs. Power Pro has all the right properties you want. It's easy to tie. It's lesser expensive. It has that great kelp cutting properties. It's thin diameter. It ties great knots. There's nothing like original Power Pro.
Yeah, indeed. And if you don't like red, you can get it in white,
green,
yellow, green, all kinds of choices there. What's your favorite color, Red?
You know, I use green inshore or red, and I use white offshore so I can see my line. And I was going to just mention, I think that has accounted for a 45-pound yellowtail here within the last week.
Great Power Pro. There
right
you
in the
go.
count, baby.
Yeah, Power Pro is your favorite tackle store. Check out PowerPro.com.
22nd Street Landing Sport Fishing in San Pedro is home to LA's finest open party fleet, including overnights on the Freedom, Catalina Freelance on the Pursuit, half-day trips on the Monte Carlo, and three-quarter-day trips on the Native Sun. Plus, you can charter the Ultra, Spectra, and True Line. There's always plenty of free parking and a fully stocked tackle store. Take advantage of the Wednesday specials on the Pursuit and Monte Carlo, and kids fish free with a paid adult on the afternoon half-day. 22nd Street Landing Sport Fishing in San Pedro. Call 310-832-8304 or book online at 22ndstreet.com.
I'm very excited to share my experience with the new Simrad NSS Evo 2 touchscreen chart plotter and sonar unit I just installed on my boat. I've been a Simrad electronics fan for many years and always enjoyed the ease of use and incredible technology. Last year I installed the new 4G broadband radar and could not believe the difference. So this year I upgraded to the new NSS Evo 2 and it's amazing. With an easy-to-use tablet-style interface that's fresh but familiar, the Simrad NSS Evo 2 combines a multi-touch screen with push-to-select rotary dial for precision control and speedy response. The core of any marine electronics for me is how it marks fish, and the new NSS Evo 2 with built-in Sonar Hub sounder technology, including chirp and structure scan, can't be beat. Now, the true test is whether I need to pick up the manual to figure it out. And guess what? The new Simrad gear is so easy, I didn't need it. There's a lot more to the new Simrad NSS Evo 2 system I'd like to tell you, but best to just go to your local Simrad dealer and check it out. Or see simrad-yachting.com for more details.
XEPRS 1090 AM, Rosarito, Baja California.
You're listening to the home of the Padres.
Padres are playing some kind of baseball.
San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup on the mighty 1090.
Hey, we just heard a spot for Bob Aronson and Angler Management Sport Fishing. Congratulations on their new boat, the Bluefin, which will be at Fisherman's Landing this week, right?
The boat will be at Fisherman's Landing sometime next week. They still have a little bit of work to do, but they have redone that entire boat. It's 50 by 16, I believe. Sleeps 14. I believe 8 of the bunks are double wide, so it's a very comfortable boat. They've completely redone the entire bunkhouse, new side scanning sonar, new
fish hold.
They're just finishing that up.
Yeah.
They've completely redone the deck. They've done painting topside and inside. It's just going to be a great boat for those smaller groups, and those guys are obviously fishy, so
yeah.
It's going to be a great addition to the Fisherman's Landing fleet.
That's great.
Yep.
So watch for that, the Bluefin at Fisherman's Landing Tackle.
Should be available June 15th to start chartering.
15th.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to go fishing before that, Angler Management and Bob Aronson still have that great 4-pack.
Oh, yeah.
The Scout. What a great boat that. A twin Yamaha 200s. And we have a Let's Talk Hookup trip with Bob on June the 9th. It's a 4-pack. And it still has space available. So you can check that out on our website, hookup1090.com, on our trips page, or you can just give Bob a call if you want to go island fishing, coastal fishing. They're biting.
Yep.
So it's time to go. June the 9th, it's a 4-pack with still some availability on that beautiful Scout to go fishing with Bob. 760-310-7802. Or you can get all that information aboard our website, hookup1090.com. Go to the trips page and check it out.
Yeah, you got it. Well, hey, with that, it's time to find out what's biting out there. It is time for the Catch Report. Today, sponsored in part by Dana Landing on Mission Bay, your one-stop shop for everything you need to go fishing. Complete saltwater tackle shop. They've got a full deli. They have trips and 6-pack charters, including the brand-new Blackjack, a perfect 4-pack. And when it comes to freshwater tackle, check out East County Bait and Tackle, full of all the freshwater tackle and live bait that you need for a great day on the lake. Dana Landing is right across from SeaWorld, next to the Dana Lawn Tramp in Mission Bay, and East County Bait and Tackle at the end of the 67 freeway at Mapleview and Lakeside. Check out DanaLanding.com for more information. Let's start it off up at Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. Talk to the man, Captain Brian Woolley's on the line. What's up, Woolley?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Morning,
Doing great. Good morning.
Good. Hey, some good fishing up here this week. We worked our way through a pretty good week. Rock fishing was the mainstay at the beginning of the week for us on the 3/4 day runs. For the half-day stuff, there was some good calico bass fishing, too, in the mix along the local kelp line down off of San Clemente there. And when the water was right and we had a bit of current, everything lined up pretty good. The water in there on the beach has been a little bit fickle this week. kind of green one day, nice the next, but out to like 100 fathoms, it's been kind of washed out a little bit. But the water off the beach a few miles is gorgeous, 65, 66 degrees and blue, and there's real good sign out there. If you can find the right kelp, there are some nice yellows to be had on some of these kelps. Some good fish yesterday out there for the Helena. Captain Calvin Cooper was out there on a half-day trip. He had 5 anglers, then the day with 11 yellowtail, just bounced around from small kelp patty to small kelp patty out there. Those fish were 17 to 25-pound fish, and they were calling the fly line sardine and mackerel. So real good sign. It's the first good sign of yellowtail we've had in our little sector for, probably a good 6 weeks. So we'll certainly be on this fish this week. Calvin only covered a small area of water pretty much directly off Dana Point. So with that good water out there, we can definitely broaden our coverage this week. So we'd love to have you guys come fishing with us. If you want to get out on one of these local trips, you can link us right through the Let's Talk Hookup website there. You can save some money on a local trip by clicking that banner link, and that'll take you over to our booking site, and you can book right from there. Of course, you can call the landing and book a trip. The phone number there, 949-496-5794, or you can check us out on the web at danawharf.com and book directly that way as well.
Boy, some good fishing, and boy, that's great grade for that offshore yellowtail. I mean, great sign for things to come this early in the season. That's going to provide a lot of fun fishing to come.
That's what we're hoping, yeah, and you're right, Rick. Most of that stuff you normally see out there is that smaller grade. That's good, solid fish. It's the same stuff that we were seeing down the beach, and certainly the same stuff that they've been fishing up the beach. So it's good to see that some of that stuff's kind of filtering in, and it's biting, so that's always a good sign. So we'll take that and run with it this week and see how we end up at the end of the week.
Right on, Willie. Maybe tuna next week.
That's who knows, right?
Who knows? It could happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, certainly great info, Brian. We sure appreciate that. Thanks for keeping us up to date. Glad to hear Dana Wharf is on the fish as always, and we will look forward to hearing another great report here next week.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and have a good holiday weekend. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Willie. Thank appreciate that. Well, let's hit the surf now. The surf guru, Gundy Gunderson, is on the line. What's up, Gundy?
Hey, Pete, Rock Cod, Doug. How's it going?
Morning. Great, Gundy. What's going on?
Good. We had, the last couple of weeks, we had these little low pressures, kind of different situations, some water rolling over, but lots of warm water around. Things really bounced back. And we'll start up there in that Santa Barbara area. Unfortunate situation up there with the oil spill. Beaches are closed from Campus Point moving west past Gaviota there. All pretty good perch spawning area. Refugio, Gaviota beaches, or state parks are closed. And hopefully this next week they're going to get that squared away and opened back up. And enough said about that. Working our way to the south, Goleta was clean, and that was the best spot there in Santa Barbara for the surf perch to pound and a half. Gulp sandworms in camo, root beer, motor oil, grubs, lugworms, all working well. East Beach, the graveyards area, good bet for halibut, 4-inch swim baits, and Christmas tree working for those guys. Wiley has reported excellent mixed bag fishing in the rocks. Anglers are scoring calico bass, sand bass, grass rockfish, cabezon, fishing cut squid, and there's also been lots of juvenile white sea bass showing in the surf line up there. The guys are seeing plenty of those fish. Along Torrance Beach, striped bass popped up again, and the guys were getting them, throwing the 5-inch swim baits. Smelt colors were working well. Early mornings was the key, and if you can find bait concentrations on the beach, that was the ticket. Big Fish reported big spot fin back on the bite again off the Seal Beach Pier. Bloodworms, fresh mussels were the ticket there. There's just not been much sand crab. So, these other baits are working well. The sand crab, it's hard to understand. A few small sand crabs here and there, but just not many sand crabs on the beach. Those spot fin going to 5 pounds, real good quality. 72nd place jetty was a hot spot for halibut for those guys. The fish were shingled in there pretty good. Smelt pattern, Lucky Crap was the hot bait. Lots of shorts in there, but plenty of kickers in the mix. To the south, Hogan's reported good halibut action throughout most of Capitol Bay. Morning high tide was best. White Lucky Craft, X-Raps working well. White Zoom Flukes, Berkeley Jerk Shad, fish drop shot style also doing real well on that. And then Pacific Coast in Oceanside reported excellent croaker action all week. The lagoons, the beaches were both producing there. Carolina rigged lugworm was the presentation. The yellowfin, real good quality, 2 to 4 pounds. The spot fin running up to 5. 11-pound, 15-ounce halibut leads the derby for those guys. The gentleman heard about those big fish and didn't know his fish was going to weigh, so he filleted it.
Oops. Oh, no way.
He brought in an 11-pound, 15-ounce gill and gutted halibut, and that leads the Derby there.
Wow, that's a good one.
Jeez,
That's a
crazy.
good one.
Well, most of the big fish were caught on float tubes, and the rules say you have to catch it from shore, so that's why they weren't in the running. But
there you go.
Gotcha.
308 participants in that Derby, so real cool deal.
Wow.
Ends on the 31st. And that's a nice fish, but still beatable.
Oh, very beatable. Well, Gundy, great report as always, and sure appreciate all your good reports. And we will talk to you next Sunday. Have a good Memorial Day weekend.
Have a good week. Yeah,
all right.
Some good fishing this week.
Bud.
Have a good one, guys.
That very much.
Thanks, Gundy. Well, that's going to wrap up our catch report again, sponsored in part by Job Site Supply, specializing in the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing trades. Unistrut is the original metal framing system featuring the unique weldless construction. Unistrut metal framing saves you time and money. It's a great alternative to conventional support methods. Come see the largest selection of Unistrut at Job Site Supply, or check out jobsitesupplyco.com for more details. And, you know, Pete, I know we talk about all the time those guys being good fishermen and good friends. And I can say one thing, Doug, I know you've dealt with those guys from Job Site Supply a lot, and just straight up really good people. If that's your field of business, I don't think there's a better people to buy tools and job site materials from than Skeet and Dan and all the guys.
They're the best.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Absolutely right.
All right, very good. Well, let's go ahead and jump back on those jam-packed phone lines, Rick.
You got it. How about we talk to Gretchen, calling us from El Cajon this morning. Good morning, Gretchen. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Great. Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going very well. Up early today. First-time caller, long-time listener by marriage.
Awesome.
That's cool. What can we do for you, Gretchen?
We've got a trip planned in September down to Palmas de Cortez.
Very nice.
And my question is, I know my husband's got everything planned out, but what I want to know is there any advantage for us bringing any type of gear, or are they going to have everything that we possibly need?
Well, I like to bring my own reels down there, and to avoid. I mean, it's always better if you like having your own gear to bring your own gear. They do have rental equipment at Palmas de Cortez. Most of the boats are fully equipped, but I kind of like bring my own reels and then using their rods. They'll rent you rods without the reels, and you need to pack them check them rather than carrying on the way back. You can carry on the way down, but the Mexicans customs does not allow reels with line to return on a plane. So, but that's what I usually do, and they usually have all the marlin lures you could possibly want. Things like Colt snipers and other things like that are probably a good idea to bring. Maybe some different hook sizes and things like that. But you don't need a ton of gear, of terminal tackle. But I would suggest maybe bringing your reels. And
it kind of depends on the boat that you fish with, too. If you're just going to kind of go on the fly, it certainly isn't going to hurt to have your own gear. I would say the gear that's in Mexico is adequate, but probably, depending on which boat you're on, maybe not as nice as what you're used to fishing at home. If you're on a boat like a Genren or an El Regal, one of the boats that specializes in that, then you don't need to worry about it. But if you're gonna fish a ponga, they're definitely gonna have gear. They're definitely gonna have the ability to catch fish. But if you've already got your reels at home, they don't take up a lot of space, and you just assure yourself that you're gonna fish with the gear that you're comfortable with, and the line's gonna be fresh and all that kind of stuff.
That sounds good. Also, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a wife taking her husband down for their 20th wedding anniversary to go fishing? We're anywhere in my choice.
You're a keeper.
That's
there.
For sure.
Yeah,
I can see why it's 20 years.
Congratulations, 20-year anniversary.
That's awesome.
20 years. Last year we went fishing also too. Went out on the producer, had a blast. So that's just what I like to do. So we're going to go down south.
That's great.
Nice.
Well,
congratulations.
Thanks for being a first-time caller with us, and please join us again, okay?
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Have a great anniversary.
Hey, when we come back, we got more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More of your phone calls, lots of great information. You stay tuned. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Mighty 1090.
Fishing season started early, so now is the time to visit the best saltwater tackle store anywhere. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle. With more inventory than ever before, we know the demand is going to be huge this season. So why wait? Visit us now and get your pick of the best equipment. Hey, there are already tuna, yellowtail, and marlin in local waters. So gear up now for what could be our best season ever. Take advantage of our expert staff that knows how to outfit you the right way. Come by and see us at
at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego or saltwatertackle.com. Fisherman's Landing has been the choice of sport fishing anglers for decades with the largest fleet of long-range boats worldwide, complemented by Southern California's finest charter and open party fleet. From a half-day trip on the Dolphin to overnight trips or a long-range adventure, you can count on Fisherman's Landing to deliver the best. Check the website for all that is going on or call Fisherman's Landing at 619-221-8500. Book now at fishermanslanding.com.
Cedros Tackle has some great news. They are expanding to offer you new adventures to complement their fully outfitted tackle shop right on Cedros Island. Cedros Tackle will now offer kayak fishing and tours. The adventure includes deluxe accommodations in Cedros Tackle's own brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath cottage that provides all the comforts of home, yet gives each guest their own private space to rest after a long day of fishing and fun on Cedros Island. The kayak adventures include the use of fully outfitted Hobie Outback Mirage Drive kayaks, perfect for fishing, spearfishing, snorkeling, and more. Your Cedros Tackle kayak adventure includes transportation to a remote location, either by Ponga or truck. While you are out fishing, the crew will set up a relaxing day camp, including a barbecue lunch. Have the kayak adventure of a lifetime without the work. You just fish and enjoy. Cedros Tackle can even take care of all your equipment. So for your next trip to Cedros Island, try a kayak adventure with Omar, Jeff, and the gang at Cedros Tackle. For more information or to help plan your trip, check the website at cedrostackle.com.
Mark your calendar for the big event. The Longfin in Orange, Southern California's premier fishing superstore, is having a Shimano Day, Saturday, June 13th. The Longfin will have Shimano, Power Pro, and G. Loomis factory representatives on hand to show you the latest rods and reels from Shimano 1, the latest rods from G. Loomis, and all the new line from Power Pro. Power Pro experts will be on hand as well to teach you the best connections and talk about how to use Power Pro to improve your fishing. Inside the Longfin, there's a Shimano store within the store, and there will be special offers available from Shimano, G. Loomis, and Power Pro for this one day only. The day starts off with Pete and Rick doing the Let's Talk Hookup radio show live from the entrance of the Longfin at 7. Plus, you can win great stuff in a big raffle with lots of giveaways. Shimano Day is Saturday, June 13th, starting at 7 at the Longfin, 2730 East Chapman, just off the 55 freeway in Orange. For directions or more information, check out the website at longfin.com.
XEPRS 1090 AM Rosarito, Baja California.
You're listening to the home of the Padres.
Oh my gosh, this club is playing fantastic baseball.
San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Information is the key to success, and inside information is even better. When it comes to fishing, inside information is critical, and that's what FishDope.com delivers. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and save fuel. FishDope.com is the only SST service with a satellite oceanographic PhD on board, the only fish finding service with a spotter plane. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Martin Island, 365 days a year. FishDope.com boasts the largest code group anywhere, covering sport boats, commercial boats, and private boaters. FishDope.com has online planning tools, moon phase, tides, hot bite icons, and more. What I'm telling you is, if you don't have FishDope.com, well, good luck. Membership costs less than 40 gallons of gas for the entire year. That's right, 1 year. What a bargain. Plus, stay tuned for the special code to save $20 on a FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
This is Greg Stotesbury from AFCO. For over 20 years, AFCO has been known for its traditional fishing shorts. We now will also be known for our new line of next-generation fishing and board shorts. Our new M82 tactical fishing shorts feature quick-dry, high-tech, two-way stretch fabric, zipper fly, 6 functional pockets plus pliers pocket, sublimated camo print, and our DWR finish so your shorts don't get stained. Also new to the AFCO line are the M25 Stingray board shorts. The Stingray board shorts feature new, quick-dry, 4-way mind stretch fabric, modern zipper fly, 2 technical high-cargo pockets with inverted zippers, silicone printed draw cords, along with our DWR finish to repel stains. Both shorts are new to the AFCO line and come in a variety of colors and sizes. These technically advanced fishing and board shorts continue AFCO's long tradition of providing the world's finest fishing and board shorts. Check them out today at better shops everywhere.
Are you as excited about spring fishing as I am? The water stayed warm all winter, which means it's shaping up to be one of the best seasons ever to get out on the water. It's also shaping up to be one of the best seasons ever to visit your Ford dealer. The all-new F-150s are starting to roll in. With over 100 new patents, it's guaranteed to be a game changer. The new Mustang also has everyone buzzing. You've got to check it out. And the new Fusion, Focus, and Escape are better than ever. Fuel efficient and loaded with technology. There's as much interest in these new Fords as there is in spring fishing. In fact, Ford was the most searched automotive brand on Google last year. And once again, it's America's best-selling brand based on 2014 calendar year sales, which makes Ford the brand more people search, buy, and buy again. There's a lot to be excited about this spring, whether you're after tuna, yellowtail, halibut, or a brand new Ford. So visit your San Diego County Ford dealer today. They'll be glad to hook you up.